This is a video lecture series for middle school science where you'll be able to play this video, but at any point you'll be able to pause, fast forward, or rewind within this video. Now this lesson is going to concentrate on protists, where protists are many times going to be single-celled organisms, and they are going to be more advanced than bacteria would be. So therefore, because they are different from bacteria, they are going to have their own kingdom, and they are going to be part of kingdom Protista. So a protist is a one, but there are some that are many-celled organisms that lives in moist or wet surroundings. So protists, many of them are going to be one-celled or single-cellular. There are some that are multicellular or have many cells, but those many cells are basically going to be like random. They don't have the same functions, and because of that, they're not helping each other in any way, or they're not joined together. They're not going to make up tissue. So those cells, even though there's many of them, then they don't make up tissue. Those are going to be part of this group of protists, or the kingdom Protista. Now, all protists are going to have eukaryotic cells. Now, eukaryotes are going to be cells that have a nucleus, or there's going to be nuclear bound or bound membrane. So people, like humans, have eukaryotic cells because all the cells have a nucleus. But also birds, cats, dogs, also like insects like bees, flies, mosquitoes, or even like earthworms. Those are all going to have eukaryotic cells because those cells are going to have a nucleus, and inside that nucleus you are going to have the genetic material or DNA inside. Now protists also are going to have eukaryotic cells where it has a nucleus and nuclear bound membrane. Now protists usually reproduce asexually by cell division. So the cells will be able to divide and reproduce asexually. Now asexually means that the protist does not require another protist to be able to reproduce. It is actually able to reproduce all on its own through cell division. Now the result is going to be two identical cells that are going to be, well, genetically identical. So you'll have the original cell, and then you'll have a new cell in the very end, and that new cell is going to have the exact same genetic material as the original. So they are going to have all the same physical features of those two. So they'll have features that are going to be the same in the original cell and in the new cell. And they'll have all of the same genetic material that's going to be identical to each other. Or here we would have another example where they would have a nucleus, and they would have the genetic material inside the nucleus, and they would have all the features identical from one cell to the other within the protists. Now, asexual reproduction of many-cell protists occurs by regeneration. So some protists are going to be plant-like because, like plants, they contain the pigment chlorophyll in chloroplasts that can make their own food. So there's some protists that can actually go through photosynthesis. So photosynthesis requires chloroplasts. So like the leaves on trees, they will actually have chloroplasts inside the green parts of the leaves, that where sunlight will actually come to these chloroplasts. And when the leaves take in carbon dioxide and it takes in water through the roots, it'll actually be able to take all of those and make sugar. So the carbon dioxide, the water, or the H2O, and takes in sunlight, will be able to make glucose, which is C6H12O6, or it'll be able to make sugar, and it can use that to make their own food. Now chlorophyll is going to be a green pigment that exists within the chloroplasts where this photosynthesis occurs. Now all of this is going to exist within these certain types of protists. So these protists that are going to be more plant-like, because like plants, they will be able to produce their own food and energy. Now plant-like protists are known as algae. So one type of that is going to be algae, which will be a plant-like protist. So singular is going to be alga. So algae is going to be these single-cellular protists, which are able to go through photosynthesis, where you have sunlight that will be able to come from the sun. It'll take carbon dioxide from its environment, take water in as well, and be able to produce sugar. You'll be able to find algae in like lakes, streams, and rivers, where this photosynthesis can actually occur. And that's what will give a green color many times to the waters. It'll either be from algae or also maybe be from type of bacteria that might be there, like cyanobacteria. Now, another type of protist is going to be dinoflagellates. Now, dinoflagellates have two flagella. So a flagellum is a long, thin, whip-like structure used for movement. Or the plural is going to be flagella, while singular is going to be a flagellum. Now, protists have characteristics, too, that could be of those of both plants and animals. And those are known as the euglenoids. So euglenoids are going to be protists that are going to have the characteristics that are plant-like and animal-like. Plant-like in it being that it's able to produce its own food. And animal-like, where if it cannot have enough sunlight or cannot produce enough energy, it can actually go out and get energy from the environment. So here is an example of a dinoflagellate. So a dinoflagellate could actually have two flagella here that'll actually be able to whip around and actually help the protist in order to move. Also as well here will be a euglenoid, where a euglenoid could have chloroplasts where it can actually produce its own food if it needs. But if there is not enough food, it's able to whip around its flagellum to move around to be able to try to find food. And when it does find the food, it can then take it in like an animal would. Now, these are going to be protists, so they are going to have a nucleus. And inside the nucleus is going to be their genetic material. So when light is not present, euglena can feed on bacteria and other protists, or like those euglenoids. The euglena can actually be more animal-like and actually feed on bacteria and other types of protists. Now, one-celled animal-like protists, a type of those, are known as protozoans. So there are protozoans that are more animal-like, and they're going to be one-celled protists. Now, these protists have cilia, which are short thread-like structures that extend from the cell membrane. And that cilia can actually vibrate and move, like the cilia can actually vibrate and move to help a protist to move to try to get food that it needs and try to find that within the environment. So a paramecium here is going to be a protozoan, where it'll have cilia here, which are able to vibrate and move so that it will be able to propel itself through these wet environments to be able to find food that it needs, be able to take it in and use it as energy. Now here is going to be an amoeba. An amoeba is a protozoan as well, but it's going to have a different way of being able to propel itself and to move around. Again, it's going to have a nucleus that has the genetic material inside, and it's going to have all of the organelles within there as well in a eukaryotic cell. Now, some protozoans move through their environments and feed using temporary extensions of their cytoplasm, which are called pseudopods, and that's how the amoeba is going to move around. So the amoeba can actually change its shape around and actually extend its cytoplasm out to be able to cause that to move. And those extensions are called pseudopods. Now, some of the things that you've learned here from this lesson are going to be about protists, regeneration, algae, flagella, euglenoids, cilia, and pseudopods.